What does true resistance look like, Ian? Most of us picture weapons and escape plans, but sometimes the most powerful acts of defiance come down to a simple prayer shawl and an unshakable spirit.
That's such an intriguing way to look at resistance, Pappy. What brought you to this perspective?
Well, Ian, I came across this remarkable story about Judah Wallis in the Dachau concentration camp that completely changed my understanding of courage. It started when another prisoner, literally on his way to death, made the split-second decision to toss Judah a bag containing tefillin, sacred Jewish prayer items that meant instant death if discovered.
So he essentially passed on both a treasure and a death sentence. What did Judah do with them, Pappy?
That's what's so incredible, Ian. Instead of hiding them away, he used them the very next morning for prayer. A Nazi officer caught him, and they immediately set up a public execution in front of the entire camp.
Pappy, the psychological weight of that moment must have been crushing.
Here's where it gets even more extraordinary. When asked for his last wish, standing there with a noose around his neck, he requested to wear those same tefillin one final time. And then he did something remarkable.
What did he do?
He recited a prayer about betrothal to God, speaking of righteousness, justice, and mercy right there in that moment of ultimate injustice. But then he noticed something that shocked even him. The crowd of prisoners was crying.
That's particularly powerful given how desensitized they must have been to death by then.
Exactly. And instead of breaking down, he shouted out in Yiddish, "I am the victor. Don't you understand? I am the winner." Right there, moments from what he thought was certain death.
That kind of spiritual defiance must have infuriated the Nazis.
Oh, it did. The officer was so enraged that he decided hanging was too merciful. They forced Judah to hold heavy rocks under his arms while they lashed his head 25 times, saying they'd shoot him if he dropped even one rock.
How could anyone possibly survive that?
Against all odds, he did. When he lost consciousness, they left him for dead, but another prisoner managed to hide him under a bunkhouse until he recovered. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn toward hope.
What happened?
A 17-year-old girl who had witnessed everything from the women's section sought him out after liberation. She had lost her entire family and told him that his courage that day had moved her so profoundly that she wanted to marry him.
So his act of defiance created a future he couldn't have imagined in that moment.
Exactly. They were married by the Klausenberger Rebbe, another survivor who wrote out their marriage contract from memory. Their son still has that document today, a testament to how one moment of courage can echo through generations.
You know what strikes me as particularly meaningful? The fact that the other prisoners still had tears to shed. It shows their humanity remained intact despite everything.
That's precisely what makes this story so powerful. It demonstrates how spiritual resistance can be even more profound than physical resistance. Judah understood that true victory wasn't about survival, but about maintaining his essential humanity.
So when he declared himself the victor, he wasn't being defiant just for himself, was he?
No, he was making a statement about the human spirit itself by refusing to let them break his dignity and faith. He was winning a battle they didn't even understand they were fighting.
That changes how we might view resistance in our own lives.
Absolutely. While most of us will never face anything as extreme as what Judah did, we all have moments where we must choose between what's easy and what's right. His story challenges us to think about how we maintain our humanity in the face of adversity.
Pappy, perhaps that's his most important legacy, not just the inspiration of his courage, but the challenge it presents to each of us.
Ian, that's exactly right. His story isn't just about what happened in Dachau, it's about the choices we all face when our values are tested, when standing up for what's right comes at a personal cost. Maybe that's the final victory in Judah's story, that decades later, we're still learning from his courage, still being challenged by his example to be better, braver versions of ourselves.